And here we're gonna show to you the real reason that sleep is front of mind for Donald Trump.
People can sleep again because they can breathe as when they go to bed. Folks whose knees don't hurt. People who don't have heart attacks, renal failure, dementia. All the things we know are associated with obesity and much more.
So I love that clip, not only because Dr. Oz is talking about people being able to sleep again as Donald Trump in the corner is falling asleep, but then Dr. Oz made it even better by listing all of the very obvious health problems that Donald Trump himself is facing right now, among many others, by the way. But that's what it is. Dude falls asleep constantly. He falls asleep in court. He falls asleep outside at rallies and stuff like that. He falls asleep in the Oval Office. And look, I grant him, he does stay up very late tweeting or whatever. Like he's up late generating, deep fakes of him pooping on protesters and everything. But then you gotta catch up on your sleep sometime, and he does it while he's supposed to be working. I don't think that's actually as awesome as he makes it out to be, Sharon, but what do you think?
Okay, that was a very long soundbite. And to quote from the Biden-Trump debate, I don't know what he just said, and I don't think he does either, okay? And that was weird, okay? And then the killer, the Crown Prince killer next to him was kind of twiddling his thumbs and looking down, and what weirdos. By the way, I kept thinking, I watched it live. How do you know when he's up? Are you on the phone that much? Why are you talking about his sleep habits in another part of the world? This is very fishy behavior between both of them, but mostly the one who wouldn't stop talking there. It's just, what are you doing? He does need sleep. I don't know that that's gonna help us if he gets some, but he does actually need some sleep.
It might help his brain health. And I also just wish, I know that Donald Trump has spent decades building up, a circle of toadies and a psychological state where he can't really get the way the world and people around him really think about him. But I wish for a second he could just, in the middle of one of those weird rambling rants that you just saw, if he could just pause and realize nobody in that room respects him. Like even like the other corrupt, murderous elites or whatever, MBS is sitting there. You think he gives a damn about Trump? You think he respects Donald Trump? He sees him the exact same way that we do. He is a rapidly decaying, dementia-ridden mess who's just ranting about insane stuff, weird grievances about Joe Biden falling asleep. MBS is killing people, wiping out the opposition, and making bank. You think he's harboring grudges about some guy who fell asleep years ago? No, they all disrespect Trump as much as we do, and I just wish Donald Trump could know that before the end. But either way, I just want the end to come. Anyway, with that said, that's all the time we have for today's show. As always, Sharon, it is a pleasure to have you here for Big News Wednesday. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, and to your entire team. I think this one should be nominated. Is there an award in this category? Because I had a blast. The way you brought it home, I loved it. Seriously, you and your whole team. So thanks for having me.
It's up for Emmy consideration, everyone. I don't think it's gonna happen. John Oliver, don't worry. You're gonna get the next award. Anyway, with that said, everybody, thank you for being here. So not only is tomorrow our members hangout, and by the way, there was a question from a longtime member about why they're limited to tier 3 members. It's just, we're coming up with perks of various ways of supporting people. We do lots of stuff that is not limited to different tiers, but for those who for a long time have done additional levels of support, we just give them this one extra thing. So I apologize if it's not possible for you to participate. It's just, we try to do lots of stuff totally freely, and then also some stuff that's for specific tiers of support. It's the sort of balance that we've struck. But either way, that will be happening tomorrow. Also, John Solo will be happening tomorrow, so I hope all of you are there to hang out with me, to discuss the news. For now, though, stay safe out there, stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.
Welcome. It's indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Ritchie. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today. Breaking down news of the day. None other than our dear brother, Jamie Lowe. Always fascinating to have his brilliant analysis. Top story of the day. Wow. Unanimous decision. Damn near. The Senate passes a bill to release the Epstein files, even though we were told the files do not exist. Let's get to it. Here it is.
I suffered so much pain.
So much pain.
So much pain.
I suffered so much pain. I was 14 years old.
I was 16 years old.
I was 16.
17.
14 years old.
This is me.
This was me.
This is me when I met Jeffrey Epstein.
This is me when I met Jeffrey Epstein.
There are about 1,000 of us.
There are about 1,000 of us. Put them up, full mass. I want you to keep that picture up. There's no way possible that an enterprise that stretches across countries, overseas, utilizing planes, trains, and boats, could ever be operated by one man alone. Where are the co-conspirators? Now, the Senate, Republicans in particular, they want you to believe that they were always for the rights of these victims. They never were. They were for the protection of Donald Trump. And after Trump is backed into a corner, after Trump says, go ahead and release them, let's just not really talk about it much because it's really from the Democrats. After Trump gives them the go-ahead, a unanimous decision. Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene and others, they're not buying it on the Republican side. Now, Trump would now either sign the bill into law or veto this release of the records. Now, ironically, Trump never needed a unanimous decision. Trump never needed the Congress in the first place. Trump could have released this under his authority via the Department of Justice, but he did not. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer received unanimous consent to pass the Epstein Files Transparency Act as soon as it arrived from the House. GOP leader Senator John Thune told CNN's Manu Raju that the House was sending the bill on Wednesday morning. Trump was pressed by NBC White House correspondent on Monday about whether or not he would sign the bill. Quote, sure, I would, Trump said, adding, quote, let the Senate look at it. Let anybody look at it. But don't talk about it too much because honestly, I don't want to take it away from us. It's really a Democrat problem. The Democrats were Epstein's friends. He said more, but you have the gist. Okay? Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican out of Georgia, had this to say.
While I want to see every single name released so that these women don't have to live in fear and intimidation, which is something I've had a small taste of in just the past few days, just a small taste. They've been living it for years. But the real test will be, will the Department of Justice release the files? Or will it all remain tied up in investigations? Will the CIA release the files? Will a judge in New York release the information? That's information that needs to come out. And will the list of names that these women privately hold, and they hold it because of their fear in their heart of what would happen to them if they release it on their own. Will that list of names come out? That's the real test.
Marjorie Taylor Greene may have said something that, when past some, put her up for a mask. She said, will the DOJ release the files? Well, the DOJ has the authority to release the file. They obviously were in charge of the investigation. Then she said, will the CIA release the files? Wait a minute. Were they in charge of the investigation? Do they have concurrent jurisdiction? How did they get involved? Was this an intelligence operation from the beginning? What made you mention them in particular? You have well over 20 intelligence agencies in the United States of America. The emails also reveal Epstein conversed with Democrats. We know that, but there are some that we did not know about. Here it is.
Well, let me ask you about you, because the White House has been highlighting an email that I'm sure you've seen today that Jeffrey Epstein got in 2013. They say it shows you were soliciting money and dinner from an Epstein. The email was not sent from you. It was sent from a political consulting firm called Dynamic SRG that says, we are thrilled to announce we are working with Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. Shoot us an email or give us a call if you would like to get involved. What's your response? Do you recall that email being sent to Jeffrey Epstein from that team?
Yeah, of course, I have no recollection of the email. I've never had a conversation with him, never met him, know nothing about him other than the extreme things that he's been convicted of doing. And that's why, I'm just strongly supportive of the effort, backing the survivors to make sure that everything can come out, whatever is in those Department of Justice files.
I wanted to make sure we highlighted it because the White House is making it a something burger when it's not. When a member of Congress or someone running for political office, when they hire a fundraising outfit, that fundraising outfit reaches out to known contributors. At the end of the day, the candidate has the right to say yay or nay to a particular contributor given the vetting or the background check that is done prior to the allocation of funds. None of that obviously happened. This was simply a political outfit engaged in solicitation of funds. House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer claimed Jeffrey's campaign, quote, solicited money from Jeffrey Epstein, citing the document obtained by his panel. The message was sent years after Epstein's 2008 conviction and came from a consultant, Lisa Rossi, who described Jeffries as a rising Democratic star and invited Epstein to a fundraising dinner with President Barack Obama or to, quote, get to know Jeffries more directly. Obviously an oversight by the organization or the consulting group. And if Jeffries would have taken that money or President Barack Obama would have taken that money, I would have something to say about them taking the money from somebody who was convicted in 2008. But since they did not, that is a limitation of that part of the segment. Now, let's go to Delegate Stacey Plaskett. Fires back at Republicans over failed bill to censor her text with Epstein text messages. So a longtime non-voting member of the U.S. House of Representatives, because she represents the U.S. Virgin Islands, that's a whole different conversation, was accused without evidence of engaging in an, quote, inappropriate coordination with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein during a 2019 hearing investigation, the alleged misconduct of President Donald Trump. Now, let's be very clear. Make the main thing the main thing. Let it remain the main thing. There's no question that Donald Trump had a relationship with Epstein. The issue isn't contact. The issue isn't even if they were involved in a friendship or not. All of these things are noted for the record. Hell, they were so good of friends that Epstein spent Thanksgiving with President Trump. So the issue is not, do you know this person? But they want to make it that in order to dissuade you from the actual issue at hand. Was Trump aware or perhaps involved in the inappropriateness connected to Epstein. That is the main thing. Plaskett's office confirmed that she was texting with Epstein, among others, February 27, 2019, for information that helped her get to the truth and took on the GOP that was trying to bury the truth related to Trump's alleged cover-up of an affair with the adult actress Stormy Daniels. On Tuesday, after the U.S. House approved a bill to compel the full release of the Epstein files, Republican Congressman Ralph Norman introduced a motion to censor Plaskett. Plaskett defended herself against the Republican move, explaining that Epstein was one of her constituents in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and that it was not yet, quote, public knowledge that he was under a federal investigation for sex trafficking. Quote, let me tell you something. I don't need to get advice on how to question anybody from any individual. I have been a lawyer for 30 years, she said, listing her resume as a former narcotics prosecutor in New York City and a political appointee at the Justice Department during the Bush administration. Quote, I know how to question individuals. I know how to seek information. I have sought information from confidential informants, from murderers, from other individuals because I want the truth, not because I need them to tell me what to say. Plaskett fired back at Republicans. You want to talk about texting felons? How often do you text President Donald J. Trump? That's the individual we should be concerned about. End quote. Well said, Madam Prosecutor. And Representative Jamie Raskin has words on the matter. Here it is.
Well, they want to give them another headline, which is that they've arraigned a Democratic member for taking a phone call from her constituent, Jeffrey Epstein, in the middle of a hearing. And of course, I don't think there's any rule here against taking phone calls in a hearing.
Donald Trump had Thanksgiving dinner with Epstein on Thanksgiving during his first time or first term as president of the United States. Thanksgiving dinner. Okay. Jamie, obviously, this individual, in addition to his corruption and his evil child sex trafficking persona, was a professional political angler. So we expect there to be some contact, obviously, with other members of the political circle. What say you about this ordeal?
You know, I think time for speculating over who's in it, who's not, who had this contact with him, who didn't, is over. I mean, at the point, release the files, and then I'll answer all the questions. Release the files, and we'll discover the extent in which the president was involved with Epstein or not. We'll discover the extent in which Democrat politicians were or weren't. And so I think anytime anybody's engaging in the speculation from the Hill is to obfuscate. You see figures like Megyn Kelly and Ben Shapiro, who are now, for one reason or another, making statements to sort of minimize, like I think Megyn Kelly made the statement that to traffic 14 and 15-year-olds shouldn't arise to the level of being labeled as a pedophile. So that's somehow, well, I can't remember her exact statement, but it barely legal is what she said. In fact, that a 15-year-old is not any kind of legal; it is illegal, just like a 5-year-old is illegal. Anyway, so they're already priming the pump to sort of downplay how bad Epstein was. At the same time, they're saying, well, while he may not have been a pedophile, even though he was having sex with children underage and he was trafficking them and likely was doing so at the behest of some government or intelligence agency, the other side of their mouth, they're trying to suggest that Democrats are worse people for having some sort of associate. But anyway, all of it, I think at this point is irrelevant. Release the files. We can see for ourselves who was involved and who wasn't. So a world of credit is deserved to Marjorie Taylor Greene, because I think, but for her finally, being belligerent from the inside, I don't think we would have got this. And so for Donald Trump to now be flipping 180, he'll probably flip again to suggest, oh, well, I have no problem with releasing it, sure. But why did 2 weeks ago did you bring Lauren Boebert into the Situation Room and have a meeting with the Attorney General and the FBI director to try to encourage her to vote against it. So then now you saw the writing on the wall, and all of a sudden you were for it the whole time. Same with half the Republicans in the House and Senate. But they got there. I suspect that some form of bureaucracy would come in at the last minute, even if he does sign this bill. One of the things that the House Oversight Committee has launched an investigation on the banks that are associated with Epstein, and that may be enough for them to say, well, now that we started this investigation, we really can't release any information because now it's under investigation. I suspect there will be some sort of chicanery going around to add more red tape to why we won't get the Epstein files. But this is a step in the right direction, at least.
Yeah, and some believe if he does actually sign it, that it may come out of his office heavily redacted once again, which really defeats the purpose of the Transparency Act bill. It is meant for the sake of transparency, not the other way around. All right, we'll bring updates as they come. Okay. We have a major one. Remember all that illegal gerrymandering that Texas was involved in? Remember how they threatened to arrest Democratic lawmakers who decided to leave the state in order for Texas not to have a quorum, in order to do the illegal thing and attempt to leave Black folk, brown folk out of the equation of voting for their representatives. Remember all this? Remember all the big and bad talk about if you don't come back, we're going to lock you up. We're going to put out a warrant for your arrest. Come and get you in New York City, Chicago. But guess what? A panel of Republican judges have told them, not so fast, fellas, on this map here. Here's Crockett to explain.
Right now, we are actually debating this whole Epstein situation because we're going to vote on it today. So they're currently in debate on the floor. Republicans acting like they always been standing with the survivors, child. We ain't even going to talk about that. They done a whole full 180 because I guess they realize it's not really popular to like protect pedophiles. But there's a whole other issue because y'all know what GOP stands for, guardians of pedophiles. Now, moving on to why I wanted to jump on. I wanted to jump on because, oh, wait, y'all, listen, Trump about to be so mad. Okay. So y'all know we had all this drama over our lines because Trump decided that he wanted to start in Texas. He wanted to come and snatch seats in Texas, right? And specifically, he wanted to reduce the voting power and the voting strength of Black and brown voices in Texas, right? The court in Texas, and I want to tell y'all, this is not some liberal court, like liberal courts in Texas don't even really go together. This was a 2-to-1 Republican majority court.
There's such an irony to this whole thing, everybody. So while Texas was trying to do the illegal thing, Newsom was like, all right, we're California, we're a big state, we can even the odds here. So we're going to vote on a referendum here that will allow us to do something very similar, but we're going to get it codified into law. Federal court has now blocked Texas from using the new congressional gerrymandered maps for the 2026 midterms, even though Donald Trump thought this was his saving grace. Here's what it means. The decision is a new blow for Republicans. Republicans in Texas and Republicans nationally who pushed through this unusual mid-decade redistricting at the behest of Donald Trump. They were hoping the new map would yield control of 30 of the state's 38 congressional districts, up from the 25 they currently hold, and it would help protect the narrow GOP majority in the U.S. House, thus protecting Donald Trump from, well, impeachment or worse. There's more. The Republican perception of this case is that it's about politics. U.S. Judge Jeffrey Brown, a Trump appointee, wrote in the ruling, striking down the new lines, quote, to be sure, politics played a role in drawing the 2025 map. But it was much more than just politics. Substantial evidence shows that Texas racially gerrymandered the 2025 map. Brown ordered that the 2026 congressional election shall proceed under the map that the Texas legislature enacted in 2021. I'm going to get to some statements from disgruntled individuals in the state of Texas. But before I do that, let me remind everyone, this is a Trump appointee, the judge. You have a 3-panel judiciary in this particular circuit. That opinion about politics being involved, the reason why the judge can say that on record, even though the typical or the standard interpretation of gerrymandering has to do with the, let's just say, inequity and racial boundaries. He talked about politics because Trump put his hand so hardcore on this that he pushed it publicly, placed it on social media. Judges are able to consider extrajudicial content in their decision making. It is within their ruling circuit. And he did. There's more. Attorney General Ken Paxton, man, he broke a lot of laws. Put him up. He has to be steaming. Said in a statement that his office would ask the U.S. Supreme Court to reverse the ruling and allow the map to go into effect. But see, time is short here, Ken. Candidates only have until December 8th to file for the upcoming election. You got Thanksgiving coming up, holiday times, office not open. Can the decision be appealed? Let's talk about it. Unlike most federal lawsuits, which are heard by a single district judge and then appealed to a circuit court, voting rights lawsuits are initially heard by 2 district judges and 1 circuit judge. And their ruling can only be appealed directly to the U.S. Supreme Court. Tuesday's decision came from a 3-judge panel made up of Brown, a former Texas Supreme Court justice who once clerked for Abbott, and U.S. District Judge David Guadarrama, a Barack Obama appointee. Judge Jerry Smith, who was appointed to the 5th U.S. District Court of Appeals by Ronald Reagan, casting a dissenting vote, and was expected to soon issue his own opinion. The U.S. Supreme Court doesn't have to take the case, obviously. They get to decide which cases they take and not take. So filing an appeal is more like filing, hey, can we please come here to your courtroom? And they may take it up at some point in the future, but maybe not the near future. California, however, well, that's law now. And so what has Trump got out of this? The irony of it all. He gets 0 out of Texas. But what he managed to do is figure out for Democrats to get more representation out of California. Trump losing. Trump is losing. All right. Jamie, the irony of how this has worked out to where if it had not been for Trump putting his emphasis on corruption in Texas, you don't get the California response, which gains Democratic congressional representation, which now absolutely takes away GOP control after the midterm elections. The irony of it all cannot be overstated.
Well, the president is an idiot. This is like the 18th time this term that he shot himself right in the foot because he cannot control his mouth diarrhea. So ordinarily, Republican states gerrymander all the time. I live in Alabama, we gerrymander all the time. But you don't come out and blurt it out on live television, but the news that, okay, well, I don't want to lose the House to get impeached. So I want Texas in the middle of the decade, almost completely unprecedented, just disenfranchise black and brown voters so I can get more representation. And then really all Republican states should do that. So he's an idiot. There's no shock there. He completely removed all plausible deniability from the Republican Party in the state of Texas and around the country. You hinted at how crazy it is, and just out of nowhere. It's the year 2025. Out of nowhere, we've already done redistricting for the. It goes with the census to just blatantly decide, okay, well, we don't want to lose, so let's just do it now. I think the Republicans have, the headline here is they have completely given up on trying to do anything remotely close to something that's beneficial to their electorate. They stuck their middle finger up in the American people's face when it came to health care and Medicaid and the ACA. They stuck their middle finger up when it came to SNAP benefits. They stuck their middle finger up until just like 2 days ago in regard to Epstein. It's like all of a sudden they remembered that, oh yeah, we have to get elected to keep power. Now, why are we going to go back doing that? Because we've already pissed off half the country, well, over half the country. So they decided, let's just cheat. And like I said, because their leader is an idiot and our people are less idiots. So Gavin Newsom did it the right way. They don't care about doing anything the right way because they've just been bullying their way through government for at least the past decade, probably longer than that. So they didn't go about doing it the right way. And I think it is incredibly ironic and incredibly hilarious. I really don't think, even if Gavin Newsom didn't redraw the map, I don't think they would have done well in the midterms. I think they would have lost the House anyway, but.
Yeah. And obviously, they believe they would have lost. That's the reason why they were trying to make this plan work to disenfranchise voters and give them a fictional majority. All right, we'll bring you updates as they come. We have a disturbing story. Imagine being in labor and the hospital decides to refuse care, and they roll you out on a wheelchair outside of the facility. Here it is.
My daughter's in active labor, and this is a Franciscan Crown Point being put out in active labor. My daughter is being kicked out of this hospital and she's in active labor.
She was forced to give birth in a truck. Put it up full mast. You're wondering, what kind of hospital would do this? What are the particulars? What happened prior? I'm going to give you that. According to the route, Mercedes Wells arrived at the Franciscan Hospital in Crowd Point in the early morning hours of November 15th, believing that she was in active labor. At the time, the nurse told her she was 3 centimeters dilated. She's obviously in significant pain. Although Wells says she was experiencing painful contractions that were becoming increasingly frequent, she was discharged from the hospital after being monitored for more than 5 hours. At this point, I have to bring up the data that shows Black women suffer the most in our Western hospitals in the United States of America because they are typically not believed. They are not listened to. They are not heard. They're treated as if they do not have the issue or the illness that they are clearly proclaiming. Quote, the nurse said, she can feel the baby head, but there's still no change, and I was still at 3 centimeters. She said, if my labor persists, then come back, but right now, you are being discharged, end quote. Was posted on social media, but less than 10 minutes after leaving the hospital, Wells delivered her baby in her husband's truck. Mercedes' husband, Leon Wells, wrote about the terrifying experience on social media. Quote, "My wife gave birth 8 minutes later. I delivered our baby in the truck. After being discharged from the hospital, first Texas, now Northwest Indiana. Justice will be served. Racism is real," he captioned on November 16th Facebook post. Wells and her husband have hired an attorney claiming the incident was discrimination against a Black woman. They want a meeting with hospital administrators to talk about policy changes, so no other mother in labor is turned away. According to NBC5 Chicago, a spokesperson for the hospital said they are investigating the matter, adding they continue to make the health and safety of their patients a priority. Quote, "We have launched an internal investigation into the alleged incident," they said in the statement. Quote, "Due to patient privacy laws and our own policies pertaining to internal investigations, we are unable to comment further at this time." Doesn't it sound familiar? If you were watching, yesterday? You've been watching the program this week. We reported on something quite similar. Sadly, Mercedes Wells Hospital experience is not unique. Yesterday, we covered the story of Miss Carrie Jones, who was in visible pain while in the waiting room for more than 30 minutes. She was there to be admitted to the labor and delivery unit at Dallas Regional Medical Center in Texas. The incident highlights the ongoing trend in maternal health disparities and racial biases in healthcare. A 2023 report from the Policy Center for Maternal Health found that Black women experience 50 deaths for every 100,000 live births, an increase from the previous year. By comparison, mortality rates for white, Hispanic, and Asian women were below 20 per 100,000 births. Could not imagine, man. Could not imagine having someone turned away from a hospital, literally pushed out in a wheelchair while in active labor, and 8 minutes later, they give birth. Jamie, obviously, this isn't something that we assume would happen inside of hospitals with trained individuals and facilities requirement, oversight, et cetera. But it's happening to a lot of Black women. What say you?
Who was we? Because, this is not an experience that I think many of us find to be that foreign. Like you alluded to, Black women and Black men are frequently overlooked. We are discounted oftentimes when we're reporting pain and reporting our health experiences. Dismissed is the word I was looking for and struggling to find. Constantly dismissed over and over and over again to the detriment of our lives. Yeah. So the hospital released a statement saying that they continue to prioritize patients' health. You cannot say that right after you got caught kicking somebody out and forcing them to have go into labor in the parking lot and deliver a child in the parking lot. Those two statements are incongruous. You could say you prioritize your less melanated patients, or you could say you prioritize whatever their rationale was, the bed space or what, finances. I don't know what their excuse was to kick that poor woman out of the hospital. They certainly were not considering her health, her well-being, nor were they considering the health and the well-being of the child. But unfortunately, I think as we progress in the age of social media, more and more Americans are opening their eyes to the experience of what Black and brown people have been undergoing for millennia. As you alluded to, we have almost twice the amount of mortalities during childbirth than other races. I say we. Obviously, I'm not a person that's capable of birthing a child, but this affects my mothers and my sisters and all Black women across America, and it's just shameful. And I don't know when the dam is finally going to break in that regard. I think to sue is probably the only recourse that we have. That's the only way that people will start paying attention if they start to be financially burdened by the burdens that they cause us.
Yeah. Because you don't have hardcore statutory restrictions, which would obviously create a penalty, a criminal penalty for this, you have to file litigation because they will make a determination. Is it worth us doing these things external of policy, or is it not? And worth for them has very little to do with the patient, has to do with the money. So individuals who experience these things, I encourage you, hold them accountable by filing a lawsuit until there's actual legal reform from representatives who give a damn to pass laws that will make it criminal for hospitals to do something like this. You would assume it's already criminal. And hell, it may be and just not enforced. All right, we'll bring you updates as they come. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
Hey everyone, Matteo Scarapore here, author of Black Buck, which is Shop TYT's first fiction book ever. I'm honored. So, Black Buck is about a young man named Darren who's living in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. He lives with his mom, he has his girlfriend, he has his best friend, he has his neighborhood, and his neighborhood has him. Darren's also working at a Starbucks in Midtown Manhattan. And one day, this man, real suave and good looking, comes in and asks Darren to give him his regular. But for some reason, Darren says no. This man named Rhett Daniels, who's the CEO of a startup called Someone, located on the 36th floor of the same building, is impressed. And he invites Darren upstairs, and then he extends an offer to join his elite sales team. Darren reluctantly joins, and he soon realizes that he's not the only Black salesperson there. He's the only Black person in the entire company. So he goes through hell and back in order to make it to the top. And once there, he has status, money, power, but he says, you know what? I don't like being the token Black guy. So he hatches a plan to help other people of color infiltrate America's tech startup sales teams, redefining what it means to be a minority in the workplace. This book definitely, if you couldn't tell, touches on many things that are relevant to this moment that we're all living in right now. But it's also connected to the many moments in history that have come before today. I hope that you read it. I hope that you enjoy it. And if you want to order a copy, go to shoptyt.com. Thank you, be well, and happy 2021.
Here's the inside scoop on diners in LA. You want good pastrami sandwich, you go to Factors. You want to see some people in the business, you go to Nate and Al's. You want the best variety? My secret spot's the Nosh. Now here's the inside scoop on politics and news. You go watch the Young Turks live every day at 6 o'clock Eastern.
All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. Do not forget about the upcoming changes taking place with Medicare annual enrollment time. We got some good partners over at Chapter. So if you're 64 or older, you are already receiving a bunch of spam calls, junk mail flooding in. So it's easy to tune it out. But there's a reason you should listen up. Medicare plans change every single year. Many are canceled for 2026. If you don't review your options, you could risk overpaying or losing coverage that you need. This applies to your parents or grandparents. Make sure they are on top of it. So I'm telling you about our trusted partners, Medicare partner, Chapter. These folks are different. They look at every plan in the country, not just the ones that pay big commissions. They find out what your plan is that fits your life, your needs, your budget. It's quick, it's easy. And if you already got the best plan, they say you already got the best plan. Takes less than 20 minutes, all right? Very simple. And it's worth it because they're saving people on average about $1,100, okay? Call Chapter 1-800-965-4108, 1-800-965-4108. Once again, 1-800-965-4108. Make sure you protect it for 2026. Okay, we got a lot of comments. I will read as many as I can. Very thankful for everybody joining the combo. Teo _1790. She just might be becoming woke. Talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene. We should see. Embedded Dude, does anyone believe that all of the files are going to be released? I'm sure they won't be. You know, we went from files to files being on the desk of Bondi, to Trump saying Epstein who and what files, to the FBI saying actually no files actually exist. Now we're back to files again. We've passed a whole law.
And all those binders.
Right.
The binders
the Jeffrey Epstein transparency files law. We got a whole damn law. It's a lot of theater happening. And I understand the skepticism and the criticism because hell, I don't know. Because one, Donald Trump could have done this without having a congressional vote. And so the question remains, what really will happen once it hits his desk and leaves it? All right. Dex says, great point, Doc. If the law stands in California, it is a net loss for the Republicans. Every time this dude endorses a candidate or any initiative, it results in a loss. So please keep running your beak sucker. Yeah, that's right. Kurt, my Republican friends always talked about guilt by association, win in their favor. That's right. Christine Ellis Brown, love you, Doc. Keep shining. Love you back. Thank you for that. And love Asian white girl. That hospital put the woman and the baby at risk. That's right. And we don't know if there are complications. We don't. Remember, the baby was born in a truck. We don't have the benefit of an analysis from a medical provider, at least not on the record yet. And Civic_Folly 86. But if Trump launches an investigation on the Dems, then the files can't be released. Can't put it past. All right. Got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Yeah, I've paid for this seat.
Oh my God! You don't need to split me off! It's assault! Jesus Christ! You insulted me! Put me over those witnesses! She wouldn't move her feet. That's you. I have to go home. I'm tired. Too bad. I'm not going. Goodbye. All right, so this train is not going anywhere. All right. Girl, we want to go. Please. Girl, get off the train. Come on now. We were the ones that missed. You were wrong. You were wrong, Karen. Okay, you were wrong. Okay, Karen. Get off the train. You're Karen. What are you talking about?
No, 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 he did not assault you, man. Everybody was unanimous in their defense of the black male, which is rare, by the way. Put it up full mass. The quick action of all of the witnesses provided all of the context required for law enforcement to do what they did. According to Atlanta Black Star, a white woman on a New Jersey transit train alarmed an entire car of passengers when she screamed that a black man sitting across from her had assaulted her. I don't have to say this, but those scenarios can become a life and death situation for some folk. Having a woman, a white woman in particular, yelling that you have assaulted her, and there's a crowd around you, okay? There's more. But it was obviously not true, according to the witnesses. So a viral video captured the moments after the accused man attempted to nudge her feet off the seat next to him. The pair was traveling in a 4-person face-to-face seating area. And the woman had sprawled out for a nap on the public train, propping her feet on the empty seat next to the other commuter while he worked on his laptop. That's according to a nearby passenger. The woman refused to move her feet, and the man took matters into his own hands, attempting to move them for her. Quote, "Oh my God, that's assault. F you," end quote. She told him before raising her voice and loudly proclaiming, quote, "You effing assaulted me," end quote. Her false accusation could have led to dire consequences, including possible arrest if the other passengers had not spoken up. All eyes were now on the woman, who was looking around frantically after waking up from a nap. A fellow passenger broke it down for her in the simplest terms, quote, "You were sleeping and you wouldn't move your feet," end quote. You gotta love New Jersey, man. So a white shopper yells in a black woman's face, throws her groceries in Kroger, a meltdown over self-checkout etiquette, but doesn't get the reaction he craves. The video shows it quickly becoming apparent that, well, no one was buying the tale of assault. So we've seen this happen in other scenarios, and the benefit of the narrative doesn't go to the, well, you know. So there's a security guard that came over to investigate this matter. Perhaps in an effort to get sympathy, she told the onlookers, quote, "I have to go home. I'm tired," end quote. I have to go home. I'm tired. I think everybody is there to go somewhere. And I'm sure that there are some people tired as well. But everybody is not inconveniencing the person across from them by, well, putting their feet on the other side of the car. There's more. The response, quote, "Too bad." I'm talking, this is what the New Jersey passenger said. And soon it seemed the entire car got caught up in the drama as several people urged her to get off the train, just get off the train, after arguing with security and calling another white female passenger a Karen. Yes, she called another white female passenger a Karen because she lacked self-awareness. For not backing her up, she finally relented and left at the next stop. My goodness. Wow. This is fascinating, actually. An individual who is so deep in the illusion of Karenicity that they believe that everybody else is actually a Karen and they are the only sane person in the world. There you have it. Jamie, this thing continues to get even more extreme by the day.
Yeah. So first of all, I think the important part of the story is that face-to-face seating is sent to us from the deepest pits of hell. I don't know who in the hell designed it such that you had to be facing the person on a bus or a train. It's the stupidest thing in the world. I hate it. I hate it. We don't have that stuff in Alabama, but I recently went to New Jersey and New York, and it's there, and it's the stupidest thing in the world. Don't put it, don't design something where my feet are in somebody else's lap and their feet are in mine. It's crazy. Anyway, so unfortunately, there are way too many people walking around here suffering from main character syndrome, where they got their theme music playing in their mind, and they're just bebopsing around and just assuming that the rest of us are figments of their imagination. And this person is certainly a Karen here, and being either a malignant narcissist or histrionic person, where she thinks that not only is her tiredness and her comfort superior and more important than everybody else's comfort, but that she can just create reality as she pleases it. She could say this person assaulted her and have dozens of witnesses who did not observe that. And she thinks I'm still supposed to be believed. I say he assaulted me, therefore he assaulted me, no matter what your eyes told you, because I'm the center of the universe. And what I say goes. And perhaps she's gotten away with that other times in her life. And she also chose to do it on a black man. And most time we are not believed, as you alluded to. But this time it didn't, it caught up to her, thank God.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how many times she stuck her feet in somebody's face on that train before that she didn't get called out on, but
yeah,
I guess it's morning in America.
Yeah, there you go. This do better. Do better. Things like that can become very dangerous. Okay. Well, a former Louisiana House Speaker, we're talking about leader, allegedly stole a rare state artifact. He has now been indicted. Put him up full mask. Former Louisiana House Speaker Clay Scheibnader, a Republican, served as a state representative of Louisiana, 2012 to 2024, long stint. He has now been indicted for allegedly what? Stealing a state artifact. This is insane, right? So we have the details. A grand jury on Wednesday indicted the former House Speaker, Clay Scheibnader, for felony theft, for malfeasance in office, for allegedly stealing a rare artifact that had gone missing from the state capitol. Now, remember, they work at the state capitol. So the former lawmaker and House Speaker allegedly stole an ancient cypress board worth more than $25,000. The 20-foot board cut from a cypress tree that was 1,284 years old had been on display in the Louisiana State Capitol building for decades. The felony theft can carry a sentence of up to 20 years in prison or a $50,000 fine. So one of the local papers reported in September that the former House Speaker had taken the board from the Capitol more than a decade ago to display in his legislative office in Gonzales, Louisiana. Can I just pause? He stole it 10 years prior. Why? Well, because obviously if he's the speaker, he believes he owns the place, literally. So he takes this rare artifact. He doesn't steal it and act like he didn't steal it. He steals it and tells the world, I done stole it. Puts it in public display. The former House Speaker did not respond to text and phone messages from the Associated Press seeking comment on his indictment. He previously told the advocate that he had received permission to take the board, an account which other state officials rejected Quote, you don't get to keep state property. It doesn't belong to you, Louisiana Attorney General Liz Muriel said in a statement. A spokesperson for our office said the board still has not been recovered. The board still has not been recovered. Jordan, put the board back up again. This Cypress, he done sold that. He sold it. Have y'all checked Amazon, eBay? Okay. He's a Republican, served as a state representative for a stretch of Southeast Louisiana from 2012 to 2024 before being term limited. From 2020 to 2024, he served as a House Speaker. 2023, he ran for Secretary of State, lost in the primary. I'm assuming that before the indictment came, he received a phone call, a letter, a text message from somebody that said, hey, man, listen, just return it. And, we know you got it. You've had it for a while. Can you just give it back to us? And maybe he used the defense. Well, somebody told me I could take it. He said he had permission, but he doesn't say exactly how that permission works, okay? And it doesn't look like he's provided information on the record for the permission that he received. Jamie, so here's how it goes. If you're a government employee, you can give permission to another government employee to steal government property. That's according to his defense.
As a government employee, I'm looking around my office in here, making sure I'm careful before I say anything. It struck me as super brazen as you were describing the story until you said it happened 10 years ago. As soon as you said that, I'm like, you know what? Obviously, you don't want this damn board that bad anyway. If it went 10 years unnoticed, let the man keep this old chunk of wood. But seriously, although I'm partly serious on that, they're hypocrites. Because if you were to ask him who is committing the crimes in his state more often than not, he's probably going to point to somebody that looked like you and me. Yeah. And say that we're the ones stealing, you can't trust. And while he done stole $100,000 chunk of wood, I didn't really get a good image of it. I don't know what made that so expensive other than the fact that it was old, but whatever. And so, hypocrite, you are a criminal. In my state of Alabama, in the same year, all three leaders of all three branches of government were in jail. So we had our Chief Justice of the Supreme Court was incarcerated, the governor got arrested, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives were all in jail. All of them hypocrites. All of them, got elected on being tough on crime and common sense legislation and throwing the book at people. And yet you all the people that are stealing from us every single day. You're writing rules and breaking the laws that you set more often than not. And I think, but for the fact that this man got away for 10 years, so I'm inclined to be like, I don't know what the statute of limitation is on this level of felony. Probably extensive, but you ain't look for that board that hard. Let the man go. Let the man be. I don't know if he's still in elected office or not. His constituents probably picked him out because he was the most likely to steal stuff.
I have to imagine once again that they gave him an opportunity to return it because in order to prove theft, you have to prove that it was malicious, that you did it intentionally, that you knew you were stealing. So at some point between him taking it or having permission to take it, he was told to bring it back and you do not have the right to have it. That has to be established prior to the indictment. So we'll bring you up these as they come. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
Hey everyone, Mateo Scarapore here, author of Black Buck, which is Shop TYT's first fiction book ever. I'm honored. So, Black Buck is about a young man named Darren who's living in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. He lives with his mom, he has his girlfriend, he has his best friend, he has his neighborhood, and his neighborhood has him. Darren's also working at a Starbucks in Midtown Manhattan. And one day, this man, real suave and good looking, comes in and asks Darren to give him his regular. But for some reason, Darren says no. This man named Rhett Daniels, who's the CEO of a startup called Someone, located on the 36th floor of the same building, is impressed, and he invites Darren upstairs, and then he extends an offer to join his elite sales team. Darren reluctantly joins, and he soon realizes that he's not the only Black salesperson there. He's the only Black person in the entire company. So he goes through hell and back in order to make it to the top. And once there, he has status, money, power, but he says, you know what? I don't like being the token Black guy. So he hatches a plan to help other people of color infiltrate America's tech startup sales teams, redefining what it means to be a minority in the workplace. This book definitely, if you couldn't tell, touches on many things that are relevant to this moment that we're all living in right now. But it's also connected to the many moments in history that have come before today. I hope that you read it. I hope that you enjoy it. And if you want to order a copy, go to shoptyt.com. Thank you. Be well. Happy 2021.
Here's the inside scoop on diners in LA. You want good pastrami sandwich, you go to Factors. You want to see some people in the business, you go to Nate and Al's. You want the best variety? My secret spot's the Nosh. Now here's the inside scoop on politics and news. You go watch the Young Turks live every day at 6 o'clock Eastern.
All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. Got a lot of comments. Before I go to the comments, remember our wireless partner, Noble Mobile. Probably one of the dopest plans I've seen. $50 a month, unlimited data. If you don't use data like that, they give you your money back for your unused data, not Noble Mobile money. They give you actual cash money that you can spend as you choose. So remember, their no bull plan. You get unlimited data for just $50 a month. You can go to tyt.com/switch, tyt.com/switch. The data you don't use, you get it as cash back. It's a fundamentally different model from what any other phone plan offers. And it incentivizes you to look up from your phone. So save money, break free from the grind. Switch to Noble by visiting tyt.com/switch or utilize the QR code. We appreciate that stance against corruption. All right. And read some of the comments. X-Dog, the security dragon, says, how do you feel and see the baby still discharge her to deal with it on her own? Disgusting. Yeah. And Tail_79, it sounds like GOP is running out of luck now. Dragons don't know I'm not real begging. That takes stealing office supplies to a whole new level. Whole new level. You can't outsteal that amount of money.
Don't judge this man.
Listen, man, when they start calculating all the pens and the paper clips that he took too. Oh man. That's a guy that would not return your pen. Don't let him have it. Right? All right, commuter. Mike Nice says, commuter Karen. That's right. Art says, I was in healthcare as criminal. Not to deny someone is criminal to deny someone of critical care. I think that's what you meant. The Midwest Dragon, thank you for that, by the way. Don't this Karen realize it's bad manners to put your feet on the seat? Straighten up, Karen. buy some new shoes while you're at it. LL Taco Dragon, hey Doc, could you cover what's been going on in Charlotte, North Carolina? We have had ICE and Border Patrol here since Saturday, and it's a hellhole. Is not safe. We are looking into that. Stay tuned this week, okay? Squiddies, I'm sure the man you accused of assault is tired too. Talking about the Karen. And Love 18 White Girl, I can't share seats, Karen. And Nightmare 316, how the hell did he sneak a 20-foot board out of the building? But the same way he does politics, he had help and folks looked the other way. All right. Yeah, exactly. So obviously people saw him take it. Okay. A black athlete decides to quit. Why? Not because of competition, but because of racism, suffering racism from his own teammates. Put him up full mass. This is a hell of a story. Atlanta Black Star did a great job in reporting. Brock Williams, a football player whose dream was to play for a university in Illinois, had to hang up his jersey after enduring intense racial discrimination and hostility from the teammates he lived with. Williams set his sights on playing college football at NCAA Division III Aurora University after visiting the campus and learning about the team. What came next after he was admitted to the school this past August turned his dream on its head. He decided to live at his teammate's house to save time commuting to and from school, and said he was the only black person living in the household, where he quickly became the target of racist harassment. Quote, one of my teammates had called me the N-word and was like, "You better not go in my room," Williams said. He added that some of the players would pass off derogatory statements as jokes. Quote, another teammate I had of mine came in and was like, "What are you doing sleeping here? Don't you guys sleep in trees?" Williams recalled. In that moment, I knew it clicked, that he was calling me a monkey. Williams said that he even heard one remark referencing George Floyd that he took as a threat. Young Williams reported the harassment to the school. He told university officials that one of his teammates even warned him that, quote, some of the guys are racist, according to an investigative report. Quote, for the first time in my life, I felt like I could not protect my child. And I've never had the feeling before, Brock's mother, Aisha Williams, said. Quote, these boys, they're living their American dream while he's stuck, sad, afraid, hurt, and doesn't know his next move. The school concluded, quote, there is no evidence that Williams had any motivation to fabricate the allegations, and it is clear something significant happened. They're telling you he's a good kid. The university is telling you he's an honest and moral kid. But at the same time, not addressing the corruption that racism creates. No matter the discipline, the sport, the arena in professional industry, racism is corrupt. Why? Because the system itself decides to create a bias based on skin color, which means no fairness can exist in the system, making the system corrupt. The university sent a statement. WLS News had a statement in response to the inquiry. Quote, Aurora University is deeply committed to fostering a safe, respectful, and inclusive community where every student feels valued and supported. We take any allegations of misconduct extremely seriously. While federal law prevents the university from sharing details about specific student or employee matters, including internal investigations or outcomes, the university follows established policies and procedures when reviewing and evaluating reports such as these to ensure an expeditious and thorough review. Every report is carefully reviewed and investigated in accordance to these policies, and appropriate and responsive action is taken whenever policy violations are found. So in the end, Williams left the team. All right, he left the team and the school altogether, and all without ever playing one single game. Quote, sometimes at night, just lying in bed, like asking myself, am I enough? Like, did I deserve this? Williams said. His family says they're planning to take legal action against the school. My heart goes out to this young man and his family. And I hope he sees this. I hope he understands how much of a leader he already has become. His moral character has illuminated this whole situation. The strength and the courage that he possesses in order to even come forward to say something like this is amazing. The beautiful thing is this. That young man is my future leader. That young man is your future leader. And the future is all right. I want to say this about HBCUs in particular and why they are so important. Aurora University is obviously not an HBCU, historically Black college or university. The reason why HBCUs are so important is because they validate an individual who may be Black and confused because of a racist America. They make you feel like you have some roots. You have a connection, you have a center, you have a core, you have a belief in yourself because you didn't have years of somebody attempting to rip belief out of you. So I highly encourage this young man to continue moving forward in whatever he chooses, whatever puts a smile on your face, young brother. Tackle it, no pun intended, with vigor, knowing that every table is designed for you to be at. All right, Jamie, thoughts here?
I applaud him because I'm sure on his participation in athletics for the university was going to be a boon for their economics. So they were going to make money off of his performance. Was it football?
Yeah.
They were going to make money off his performance on the football team more often than not. And so good for him for denying them, exploiting him. The statement that this university released saying that they're deeply committed to establishing inclusivity or whatever the BS answer sound just like the statement that the hospital released when kicking that woman out on the street. So whenever you get caught, not that the school was directly, they didn't directly call it, wasn't like a faculty member, but institutions that do the thing that they say they're doing don't get in situations like this. So if you were committed to preserving inclusivity and beating down racism, we would not be in this situation. Yeah. So to say it after you've had a young athlete withdraw himself from participating because he experienced racism. So to then say, well, we're committed to blah, 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 is utter bunk. Do it before you get caught.
Yeah.
Make all these children feel like they belong here before you get caught.
And make sure that you don't hide behind federal law when citing policy. Federal law does not prohibit you from citing policy on bullying at all. You can cite it clearly and proclaim it loudly, how you all would treat the situation hypothetically. All right, we'll bring you updates as they come. I'm going to take a quick break. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
Hey everyone, Mateo Scarapour here, author of Black Buck, which is Shop TYT's first fiction book ever. I'm honored. So, Black Buck is about a young man named Darren who's living in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. He lives with his mom, he has his girlfriend, he has his best friend, he has his neighborhood, and his neighborhood has him. Darren's also working at a Starbucks in Midtown Manhattan. And one day, this man real suave and good looking, comes in and asks Darren to give him his regular. But for some reason, Darren says no. This man named Rhett Daniels, who's the CEO of a startup called Someone, located on the 36th floor of the same building, is impressed. And he invites Darren upstairs, and then he extends an offer to join his elite sales team. Darren reluctantly joins, and he soon realizes that he's not the only black salesperson there. He's the only black person in the entire company. So he goes through hell and back in order to make it to the top. And once there, he has status, money, power. But he says, you know what? I don't like being the token black guy. So he hatches a plan to help other people of color infiltrate America's tech startup sales teams, redefining what it means to be a minority in the workplace. This book definitely, if you couldn't tell, touches on many things that are relevant to this moment that we're all living in right now. But it's also connected to the many moments in history that have come before today. I hope that you read it. I hope that you enjoy it. And if you want to order a copy, go to shoptyt.com. Thank you, be well, and happy 2021.
Here's the inside scoop on diners in LA. You want good pastrami sandwich, you go to Factors. You want to see some people in the business, you go to Nate and Al's. You want the best variety? My secret spot's the Nosh. Now here's the inside scoop on politics and news. You go watch the Young Turks live every day at 6 o'clock Eastern.
All right, always good to be with you. I will read a couple of comments. LL Taco Dragon, thank you, Doc. I really appreciate it very much and happy to be part of the Truth Train. Well, we appreciate you. Iron sharpens iron. We are thankful for you informing us. Okay, and Nightmare 316, another NY Karen. All right, so there's a story we brought you, and we interviewed the individual. This was a while ago, about a black male, or young black male, forced out of his own home by the police. We have an update to that story. Let me remind you of it. Here it is.
Do you guys remember Derrick? He was the kid that got his property, his farm, stolen by this white family. The family's name was the Hardys, and Derrick was really good friends with them through the church. They ended up buying this home together, and then the lady who he was doing business with ended up transferring everything into Derrick's name. Well, later on, there was that went down, and the family ended up moving into Derrick's house because he was trying to help them. Well, they ended up taking over his home and basically kicking him out of the house. But because the family had all these connections to the judge and the police and all these things, they ended up taking his house. And you guys remember this plane crash that just happened in Covington, Georgia, right? You won't believe it if I told you, but it's right there. James and Janet Hardy are the couple who stole that boy's house. They were the couple that died on that plane after it took off.
There's more, actually. So that was an ironic update about the plane scenario. And we fast forward to this month. Derrick would attempt to reoccupy his home, but the police came to force him out. We have that footage. Here it is.
You cannot, as much as you don't want me to be a resident here, I am. You can't get over that. I am a resident. I am. I am a Morgan County resident, and you cannot get over that. Let's. Would you like to go to? I mean, this is my home, and this is my home. Hey, everybody, I'm getting ready right now. I'm here at my home in Morgan County, Georgia, that I have the deed to. That's my residence. That I have a Supreme Court ruling to. That my cars are registered. That my license is to. I think last. Do you still have my license?
No, I got it back.
Okay, so you did. Okay, here we go. That my license are registered, and this officer is going to tell me that I don't live in my own home. Why are you trying to remove me from my home?
You don't live here.
I do live here. This is my bedroom. This is my room. I do live here. I live here, and I'm not leaving because I live here. So therefore, you don't have a right to put
bedroom, do you?
Nope.
You don't go to your own bedroom because you know ain't none of your stuff.
Let's go to the bedroom. Would you like? Go. I will show you. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go look then. Let's go look. So we're going to my bedroom. This officer is trying to remove me from land. He has no right, no authority to do anything. Here, come on in. And they're harassing me, and I want them off my private property. Hey, actually, you guys got to get a warrant. I don't want you on my property. You got to get off my property.
You need to get out.
No, this is my property. I'm not leaving. You need to get a warrant. Go get a warrant. Because you're trying to move me from my land. That's my constitutional right. This is my bedroom. This is my home. You're gonna have to. This is my bedroom, and everything belongs to me. I'm not leaving because it's mine. You can't tell me. You don't even tell me. You have no right to tell me to move my home. This belongs to me. This TV belongs to me. This is mine. This is mine. This bed belongs to me. That belongs to me. Everything, a workout equipment in there goes to me. Every radio in my command station belongs to me. Everything in this bathroom belongs to me. My lawyer has every receipt to everything in this room. So therefore, this is my furniture in my room. You have no right to tell me I'm leaving. You know that I'm a resident here because the county tells me who I'm a resident.
You even told
you just told dispatch
in a few weeks.
I haven't been here in a few weeks. Yes, that is
and
correct.
Like I said, I understand.
Because I have business.
Have proof that they've been serving you elsewhere.
What proof? Okay, what dog? I have not been served in over a year. Okay. I have not been served in over a year, and there was a stay away order. I could not be here. It says stay away until.
When did you move back?
I moved back to this property the day that order expired. That was in October.
So how did all this happen? How were they able to move in your room?
How many times?
Listen, I understand, but you told me that they had moved all their stuff in here.
And I moved it out once before. I got y'all to move it out once before. We've been through this time ago. We've been through this time and time again.
Well, at this point, listen, I'm going to issue a warning, okay? And then we're going to have you vacate today. There has to be a court order to say that they're evicted from here before you can come back.
So you're moving the residents. So you're moving me out of my home.
They're the residents.
I'm the resident.
They've been staying here daily.
I don't have to. What law says I got to be in sleep in this bed every night? What law? What law says I can't sleep? What law says I can't handle business in another city?
Are you going to sign these?
If I don't sign it, you're taking me to jail, right? If I don't sign this, you're taking me to jail.
Refusal, you're still going to have to leave the property. And if you don't leave after that point, once I sign these all as a refusal, yes, we will.
Now, if you notice, the officer said that the young black male, he needs to provide a service of eviction to evict the family who has been living there. Ironically, the officer is correct. But it also applies to the young black male, meaning in order for him to be ejected from the property, there must be a proper eviction notice for him to leave. Thus, it becomes an enforcement of law rather than a civil dispute. Police officers in the state of Georgia are not allowed to engage in civil disputes. This was a civil dispute. So much has transpired since we last covered this story. We interviewed Derrick Williamson. We're planning on doing a follow-up interview with him after this as well on all the updates very soon. So in the description of these latest videos, Derrick posted the following. So Morgan County Sheriff's Office has grossly violated my constitutional rights in conspiracy with the millionaire Hardy family and corrupt county judges. I have been arrested, stolen from, assaulted, hospitalized, traumatized, and discriminated against by these corrupt officials and millionaires conspiring to steal my farm from me and my animal family. I have been arrested before for the first time in my life by discriminatory officers at MCSO. Y'all may use brute force against me, but one day someone is going to see my videos that can help bring y'all into accountability. It's coming soon. Morgan County, Georgia. Just know all the pain, injuries, and humiliation you have caused me and my animal family will be accounted for. You won't get away with this misconduct, even if lawyers are too scared to hold y'all accountable. There is one. So in an exclusive statement, Williamson told Indisputable, quote, "It's a sad reality to have to accept that the color of your skin could cause an entire police department to forget their oath of offices." He has a deed in his name. Obviously, has property there. Typically, the fact that you have a license with an address on it, or you have mail coming to the residential location, is enough for a police officer to say, I can't do anything without a notice of eviction. There's nothing I can do. And you didn't hear that said for him, because I guarantee you, if he had a notice for eviction, they would not be conversing with him about if he lives there or not. Okay, a hell of a thing. Obviously, we'll bring you updates as they come. Dear brother, thoughts here?
They can forget their oath of office. When they took them, they did not have people like him in mind. So they did not. He is not the type of citizen in their head they swore to protect. The law is powerless to help him in their eyes, but not powerless to harm him. So, who were they there on behalf of? I saw him and the law enforcement agency, but there was no one there that was causing the impetus for them to try to remove him. So he was minding his business in his home. What's the other party? The court did not order them to intervene, or else they would have just arrested him and removed him. They looked like they were trying to serve him with something, with some notice of something, which is not an arrestable offense to reject service. I mean, they just file with the court, this person rejected service of this, and that's documentation, they move forward with the proceeding. That's not an arrestable offense, especially in his house.
Yeah.
Man. He's going through all this unnecessary, like if the police came in here and they asked me to prove that I live here, I would show my license, but I'm not letting him in my home and showing that this is my bed and I haven't received this. No, they wouldn't do it if I was lighter. They wouldn't do it to him if he was lighter. So he needs to sue these people for, I think, violating his rights, easily violating his rights. And granted, I don't know Georgia like I know Alabama. I don't know what kind of county that is. It may be a good old boy system where they, operating like it's 1960. But if it's the regular law, if that governs this Georgia county, I think he's got a fantastic lawsuit there.
Yeah, and one of the issues has been finding local counsel who's willing to take the case because of the, well, let's just say, adverse judges in their local jurisdiction. Sometimes people forget that a local lawyer has to continue to do business in that local county. And if the judiciary decides this individual isn't playing ball, and defending somebody they would rather you not defend, that could drive their law practices. So he's seeking an opportunity for representation outside of Morgan County, or one who is not afraid to prepare for battle with those same officials. All right, we'll keep you updated as the story develops. Dear brother, always a pleasure having you on the program. Tell people how they can follow you and check out your great work.
You can follow me on all social media platforms at JLowe_52. And on Rebel HQ under Jamie Lowe. Thank you for having me, Dr. Richard.
Thank you, dear brother, for always being here, man, and being brilliant and on top of your game. All right. Remember, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.